gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you to the special MMA Innovate Vietnam 2023, unfolding for the very first time in Vietnam. We currently have 3 conference rooms in section, and I'm delighted to welcome you to room 3, where we are delving into the theme of today's conference, innovating and elevating business strategies. I'm Jessie, your MC for today, and I'm excited to accompany you through this journey. Before we start, I would like to thank you again to all speakers who will present in this room today, and also all partners who have supported MMA for this event. And now, may I request all of you to change your mobile phone to silent mode and ready for the first section of today's agenda, please. In the first section, we focus on the vital topics of branding and positioning. Your brand defines you, and positioning sets you apart. Now, let's meet our panelists, experts in the field. Please welcome Mr. Hảo Trần, CEO, co-founder of Vietcetera Media, Mr. Nguyễn Hữu Anh Hào, co-founder and CRO of DGV Digital, Ms. Ngọc Võ, CEO of Yola Education, and Mr. Châu Chua, founder and group director of Unigons. And let's not forget our insightful moderator, Mr. Nguyễn Tiến Huy, founder and CEO of Pencil Group. And before we start, remember that your participation is encouraged. You can pose questions to the panelists through Slido. Simply log in using the code displayed on the screen.
Good morning. I am excited. I didn't expect we have this crowd, and I'm sorry if some of you have to stand for 40 minutes of our discussion. And we promise that this music band will deliver a good performance to you. Okay. And my name is Huy, aka Huy Pencil. I'm from Pencil Group. And today I'm very honored to be the moderator for a panel with some experienced guests with diverse experience to discuss about branding and positioning. We have representatives from media industry, from tech industry, from creative tech, customer experience, and from brands client size. I think you already look at the list of guests, so you know that they are going to deliver insightful sharing. Let's start with a round of introduction from our guests, starting from Hảo Trần, and we can get to know more about our guests.
Thank you, Anh Huy, and thank you, MMA team. I'm Hảo. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Vietcetera. It's a media company. Do you guys know what Vietcetera is? Yes. Okay. Have a sip? Yes. Okay. No explanation needed. Anyways, thanks a lot for the team for organizing this, and really excited to share some brand kind of commentary and some insights, and yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So next to me is Mr. Hảo, but I'm Mr. Hảo, just a very different Hảo Nguyen, and I'm co-founder and chief revenue officer of DGV Digital. Have you ever heard about us? No, right? Yeah, but we are supporting. We are a technology partner of some good brains here, supporting on data, supporting on activation, supporting on zero-party, first-party data, and so on. And we're happy to be here talking about brain, which is a good topic for us to share our view on technology, how technology can support the brain. So let's move on to the next, and then we'll share more on a few more minutes. Okay, next to you, Joe.
Thank you both, Hao. You asked a tough question. I'm Châu Chua. I'm from Singapore. I'm the co-founder of Unigons. For those who do not know us, it's okay, because you probably came in touch with our technology this morning when you check in. The counter, the check-in counter, the big giant screen, the projections is all by our company here. We are actually a creative and technology company. So for marketeers or for people in the creative industry, you may not be familiar why am I starting a creative and technology company? We would like to combine creativity and technology to solve today's or tomorrow inconveniences. Now, we walk the talk. We are very proud. We are the first to introduce the first reverse vending in Vietnam. We are also the first to introduce self-diagnostic health kiosks in Vietnam to address the shortage of healthcare worker in Vietnam. So today, pleased to meet all of you. And of course, taking a chance to wish all of you a happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Now I'll pass to you.
Thank you, Joe. This is Ngọc, the most beautiful woman in this panel. Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Yola. Have you ever heard or have you ever learned from Yola Education? Yes, thank you. So we are having students from 3 years old to 15 and above, means from your K-12 English to the IELTS or test prep preparations. And I'm so proud to be the CEO of the company who not only deliver service, but helping people to have a fulfilled, happy life through their success, through communication, through globalizations. And I'm very happy and thank you for MMA to organize this event for us to connect, to share, and to learn from each other. Thank you.
Okay. The topics, branding and positioning, is a fundamental topic that we discuss every single year, and also in many events throughout the year. So when we get together, one of my objectives is that how do we talk about something new about branding and positioning. So today we start with a question. I want to ask the panelists. Please share about a thinking about brand building that you disagree with, that you don't agree with. A perception on brand building in the market that you don't agree with. Yeah, let's start with the representative from brand, from the client side. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a very tricky question, right? I think in the age of innovation and a lot of creativities, branding is not something new. So to this, we have so many methodology to do brandings. And nowadays, not only social media, but different ways of doing it. And I think the thing that I disagree with is, from my personal opinion, is the authenticity of the brand's message and whatever you deliver to the customer, right? Sometimes in order to get attentions, you promise something, or you follow the trend, or you create a very vague imagination for customer. But then when you deliver your services or products, is it alive? Is it authentic that you know that you can do? You know it's your vision, mission, and the core value and the promise that from the bottom of your heart, this is what I want to do. Because for branding, you need differentiation, unique. But then the operation side, you have to follow with that. It's not only from the top management, but also from the employee. So I think, for me, if there's something I disagree with, it will be the brand authenticity. The brand message and whatever you deliver, whatever you measure, is it a lie or just a message from marketing team? Yeah.
So this is just to clarify what you mean. What you disagree with is how brands are moving too fast with social media and losing the authenticity of the brand, losing the connection between the brand message and the core values of the company, and the deliver of the service. Okay, so it's too much of what we promise on social media rather than the connection between the brand authenticity with the service quality and the promise in our products, right? Thank you. And Joe, what do you think?
I don't think we rehearsed these questions, which is good. I think most of you guys are either from marketing companies, or you're doing a marketing role, or you are in the business of doing creative communications. Now, I think there are a few things that we should pause and start thinking about it. Now, I think the first thing, I truly agree with you. We should stop creating very short-term campaigns. I know there are KPIs from your investors, right? You got to win the awards, you're going to hit the numbers, you're going to do any effort just to make sure that your brand and your product flies off the shelf. But look around you. All of us are very talented people. We are great storytellers. We are good communicators. Would you want to spend your life? It's just the same story, right? When Steve invited the ex-CEO from Pepsi to join, would you want to spend a life just selling soda water? Now, for me personally, I think there are a few things that we should stop doing. As a company must be able to comprehend the power and the purpose of a brand. Remember, if you treat a brand as a money printing machine, you just do your discount every day. You get your sales. But eventually, it's not going to create a brand. A brand must serve a value in life. A brand is an advocacy for a humanity value. Now, if you are in the power to make mass communication, especially I'm talking to the big brand people, you as a big brand, you have the power to make and change culture. Do it. The second thing about being a brand person, a brand leader, is you have to stop connecting brand to sales. I think this is all the mistake big MNC and big agency. Usually, you will be rated if the sales of your product is going well, your brand is doing well. That's not true because brand and sales must be disconnected. So there are many fundamentals, but unless we change and adopt those values in branding, you will not be able to make a long-lasting brand like Apple, like Nike, like Adidas. Those are the legends. So this is just 2-second thoughts sharing.
Thank you, Joe. I will have a question to you later on that point of view. Thank you. And Hao.
Yes, Hao.
Yeah.
Okay. So emphasize on the question about disagree, right? So for me, the thing that I disagree with is how you guys using market research and ranking and apply all of that kind of data into your strategy of branding. So I'm not really recommend you to rely 100% on the third-party kind of market research. Sorry, agencies and so on. But I do recommend you guys to do a part of it yourself. So manage your customer connection, manage the survey, manage the way you interact with them, and receive feedback from them. So to me, it's a good way for you, besides the third party and the independent source for market research. But you should, I think, rely on what you hear directly from your direct customer rather than a third party. So that's something that should split your trust into maybe that kind of research as well. So that's my point. Yeah.
Thank you. And the guy from Visera.
Yes. Thanks, guys. So great answers from everybody. I think the one that really stood out to me is like the brand values and authenticity. So we're a media company, a publisher. We're not an agency. We work with a lot of agencies and clients too. And I find that the most successful campaigns really focus on that brand voice, not the KPIs. KPIs are very important, of course, but at Vietcetera, for instance, our brand values, we have 3 of them. It's positivity, inspiring, and helpful. So our content, every content we make, every post we make has to have one of those 3, hopefully all of them. Recently, though, we've been seeing, sometimes it happens when you grow really fast. I'll see articles on Vietcetera that don't feel that. They feel negative, they feel cynical, they feel kind of just not good. It doesn't make me feel good, but it gets views. But immediately when I see that, I message the team like, hey guys, we have to take this down. I know we have our KPIs and internally or with brands, but it doesn't feel like it's us. So we need to not do those things. And sometimes you just have to remind people. Because I remember this just happened a few days ago, and I asked the editor to come to my office, and I was like, hey, what's wrong with this? And she said, oh, it feels kind of negative. I was like, exactly. So you know too. But then why do we post it? It's because we're chasing KPIs and goals. But sometimes you sacrifice your authenticity, your brand voice. So I think Of course, we have. How do you find that balance, right? That's not an easy thing. But when it comes to content, at least in our industry, we always lead by providing values for what we stand for. That's why we have an audience in the first place, and then the values commercially will come after, as well. So I think sticking by those brand values super important. Otherwise, you will sacrifice and be unsustainable.
Thank you, panelists. I see all interesting answers that in comments we all agree that we should sacrifice some short-term KPIs for long-term values. In Pencil, we do brand consulting, and we also often ask our clients to have a long-term vision for the brand and be a bit more patient on building the authenticity and the values for the brands. But the question is, you cannot just do things on the sky, up in the cloud, and expect that we will have a result in a few years, right? Business is all about bottom line business results, right? And especially for a CEO, you have to commit to KPI, to sell KPI. And everything we do must be measured. So if we talk about not about fast-moving social media trends, not about short-term campaigns, not about the KPI, but more on the brand values, not about the market research that that very dry, but we have to fuel the audience. But for every step, we must measure the effectiveness of what we do. So how do you measure the strength of the brand for everything you do? If it is a short term, you still have to do some sort of things. It's just committed to the authenticity or the brand values like you mentioned. How do we measure? What is the advice to the audience that do they know that they are doing well enough? Why waiting for the strength of the brand to grow and affect to sales? Yeah. So again, starting with you.
Thank you. So I remember there's a sentence, right? If we cannot measure, we cannot improve. So whatever we do, we have to measure. And measuring a brand, I believe there's so many metrics to measure a brand health, right? From awareness, from top of mind, from market share, a lot of things. But I think the important thing is the brands like a person, a characters, a person which have function, right? And also emotion, and what is it about? Because we are all individual and we are all different. Then the brands very similar. So what do you want to measure from your brand? For example, at Yola, of course we measure brand awareness, but that's not enough. If we say our brand is about result-oriented, academic, you know, Yola is very famous for academic, result-oriented, then we measure our student achievement. It's also one of the brand promise that we have to the parents and to the student. Number two, we have emotion promise, which make the student feel fun, engaging, and fulfilled, happy. It's not that ranking number one, number two in the class, but they feel fulfilled, they feel happy, they feel progress in their life, they feel confidence with their language. They have good entrepreneurship or critical thinking. So these are the things we say the essence of our brand, of Yola, that we measure, right? So we combine both, one of the brand regular metrics, and the other one is what is the essence that we promise in our brand, the unique, the differentiation, then we measure that one. We cannot just measure generic information from the markets. And I totally align with Huy, right? It's not only measure the potential customer out there, who you want to attract, but measure from your existing customer who's learning. You have to ask them. We are asking our students twice in one course, within 3 months, how fun you have in your class, how easy for you to learn. Right? So these things we want the student to have, then we measure that one. So I think that number one, measure not only the generic metrics of the market, but what you want to be. That number one. Number two, we measure it together with the NPS and CSAT, because the brand have to return to have return on investment, it must have to come from customer experience, customer satisfaction. Then only you have sales. Sales is not the immediate result of branding or the service that you deliver. It have to come from customer satisfaction, NPS, referral, word of mouth. I think word of mouth is the brand strategy that Yola is doing consistently in the last 14 years. If we compare Yola brand with other brands in terms of promoting, we're not that strong, to be very honest to you. But word of mouth is something that we want to have. People talk to people. Not we say, oh, we're good. No, but people say that, oh, you know what? My kid's learning at Yola. And this is how I think about Yola. That's what we want. And I think the third thing that we measure is the churn rates or the dropout customer. Not only measure from the potential or new assistant customer, but we measure from who left us. Who doesn't want to use our products and services? We ask them why. Because we measure the box of size of whatever we want, and we also measure why we are doing that, but people not perceive that, people live in us. So these are measurements that as a brand, we are doing and focusing on.
Wow, awesome. So usually we talk about brand measurement. We talk about an outside-in approach, right? So we go out there and test how many percentage people can recognize our brand or understand our brand. But what Ngọc just shared with us is the versus the inside-out approach. So from a point of view of a CEO, she measure the power of brands with NPS, Net Promoter Score, the indicator that will increase word of mouth, and she measure churn rate, which is the direct indicator to future sales. So I think that is very interesting point of view when you talk about customer experience is the most important thing to measure brand strength. Thank you, Ngọc. So back to Joe, because you develop customer experience, interesting customer experience. What's your point of view on measuring brand strengths from customer experience?
I think she basically covered most of the 101 in terms of brand measurements. So I'm going to want to repeat what you said. I think different companies, right? I mean, your stakeholders, your bosses will rely on a set of different metrics how to measure brands. I work in the FMCG line for over 20 years. They usually measure brands by market share or, if not, the share of voice. Now, but I think in general, if we look into a brand, the strength is about measuring the loyalty, right? Because the more loyal you are, the more people will join. And this is a very interesting point of view because if you look at today's world, I think it's a good news to everyone who are wanted to do your own business, starting your own brand. If you look at brands like Mr. Beast, right? You know, everyone knows Mr. Beast. He doesn't need to put on the suit. He doesn't need to put on fancy with a multi-million production. Of course, he does. He goes to the multi-million right now. But I think it's what you said, the authenticity and all the content that he's driving. But how do we measure the success of Mr. Beast? Simply look at the numbers of followers he has, right? Simply look at the interaction that he has. Simply look at the sales that his merchandises bring. Now, what Mr. Beast is bringing may be pure entertainment, but he also show a lot of generosity towards the people that he donated, right? Sometimes get certain feedback. So I think these are many multiple ways to measure the brand. Now, so there's no one correct answer. It all depends how you're going to answer to your investors, who's going to give you your next round of investment of capital. But I would say the best way to measure a brand is to make sure the brand is able to live, even though in the company is still in the red. Now, I'm sure Grab is here. They're one of the VIP here. Don't worry, I won't say anything bad about Grab. But when Grab started their business, the first 2 years, they are in the red because they are investing, capital investment. But will investors stop investing in Grab? Will people feel badly of Grab? When? Because you are in the early years of investment. So this is why I said, don't look at the company's performance, forget about the P&L. Look at the company, what is their mission, what is their purpose of their brand, what are they doing? And then evaluate that as the value of the brand. I think that will be the most meaningful evaluation. Yeah?
Thank you, Joe. To Hao from Bistera. The role of a media company is to build the brand from outside in, right? To help the brand to be more connected to consumer, more awareness. What do you think about the perspective of Ngọc that it's more important from the inside out?
I think the inside out too. It goes back to what I was saying about the content. We have to remind our staff every day about our brand values because you will forget. You will forget. You're caught up with all the goals. You're caught up with all the KPIs and how to measure. Sometimes you'll forget those brand values. So one thing I've been doing recently too is asking myself, would I want to read this content? Do I feel good about it? I'm not the 100% target market, but we also have to ask the staff, would you want to read this content? And if the answer is no, that's already a brand measurement itself. You can say the same about Yola Education or any brand. Would I trust to have my own child go to this center? Hopefully, right? And if the answer is yes, that means you have confidence in your own measurement as well. So I do believe that as well, inside out, to reflect, to get feedback. And then, of course, the outside will make that decision for you, right, in terms of the business result.
Great, thank you. We have the lighting turn up and down, just like in a music. That's why we call ourselves a music band today. And Hao Nguyen, you disagree with to rely on research, right? So research is all about getting perspective from outside in.
Yes.
So how do we go from technology point of view?
All right. So most of my part is already covered by the rest of the panelists, but I think that I can share some more. Actually, from the inside out, we normally do a kind of a RFM model for our client. RFM stands for the R is the retention, F is frequency, and M is monetary. So from the first bullet point, the retention. So I'm sure that not everyone can capture the retention of the customer. Maybe I'm having a beer today, whether I'm having a beer tomorrow or maybe next week, cannot. But somehow for some other industry, they can actually capture that kind of information. So retention is quite important. Whether your customer is still loyal to you, or maybe they already leave you for another maybe competitor and so on. So track that, and also have some action. And the next one is frequency. Frequency is something that they keep buying, but whether the gap between 2 times is closer or farther, okay? So that is also a good point to keep your customer close to you, especially for the frequency. So we track that as well. We track whether the frequency on each channel is different, is the same, and whether they switch the channel, they switch the behavior, and so on. So that's something we are closely monitor. And the last one is monetary. Monetary is the most important, of course. So whether the average spend is increased or not, or maybe they are willing to maybe expand the transaction for their family member, for their friends, and so on. So whether size of the sales and the purchase is increased because of our pricing, or maybe because of our service offering and so on. So track that as well. So RFM is a good model to start, and I think that together with the CSAT, the customer satisfaction, and also NPS, so together it's a good combination of inside-out tracker for everybody to go on. Yes.
I feel like you list out all of my key KPIs, Hao. We have NPS, referral, where new customer coming from referral channels, and then the, what is the third thing you say? Monetary, we call customer lifetime value. How long they stay with us and how much they spend with us. So these are 3 key KPIs that I am focusing on for Yola.
We come from different backgrounds, but we seem to have a common understanding on how to build a strong brand. And I'm glad to hear all of those valuable insights. To recap on that, those answers, we all agree that we should measure the strength of a brand inside out. So from Ngọc, it is in NPS, Net Promoter Score, the quality of the service. And what she mentioned that I really agree with is that the brand promise results. So you promise something, are you delivering it? Are your existing customer accepting that you are delivering your brand promise? From Joe, he mentioned about customer loyalty, a key indicator on the strength of the brand. From Hao, it's about the content that the brand create. Does it in the guidelines of the brand, the authenticity of the brand values? And from the point of view of a tech guy, you should measure it with RFM models, all very useful keywords that you can dig down. So thank you all for the answer. How many of you here come from a small and medium business? Just want to know how many of you come from a small and medium business? Wow, so we all come from like a big enterprise, MNC. Okay. Good. Anyway, I have a question that I usually got from a medium-sized companies or SME companies. Yeah. Because they don't have enough money to invest into big branding campaigns to make like really big impact that can be measured with KPI that can win MMA awards. Yeah. So they always question how they can start with a small budget on building brands. Because building brands seems to be a luxury things from big companies. Yeah, please give your advice starting from a medium.
I recently invested in this company. It's called Bamboo Careers. It's like a salary transparency platform, and it's powered by data, so people can upload their information about their career and salary, and it's powered by ChatGPT, and it tells you whether or not, it gives you salary advice, basically, and job advice. So it uses all this crowdsourced data to tell you if you're paid properly, basically. And so at first, the comment from some people I was talking about was like, oh, that's going to be very expensive to acquire users. You'll have to pay a lot of money. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to build content. So I ended up hiring a former social media intern who worked at Vietcetera a long time ago. And I've been following her on TikTok, and she makes these like singing videos on TikTok. Very creative, very, very creative. She's not an influencer, but she makes these videos, and she has like 100,000 followers on TikTok just making singing videos for fun. And I asked her, like, hey, could you start this channel where you go around and you interview people about their salary? Like, for instance, you can interview a manager. You can ask them, hey, when you were 21 and you finished university, what were you making? 6 million, 10 million. What do you make today? 100 million. And give inspiration to young people that, wow, over my career, I can go from 10 to 100 in 5 years. Now, how do I do that? Or you can ask young people today, hey, is your salary, do you feel like it's enough to live in Saigon? And a lot of people these days say no. And why, right? Because the cost of coffee is going out of control or something like that. And we launched about 60 days ago, and we made 5 million views in 60 days. And the only cost is her salary. That's it. And she's paid around 15 million. So we invested 30 million dong to create 5 million views. And the content is going crazy. Like if you went, it's only on TikTok. No Instagram, no Facebook, no ads. If you go to TikTok right now, search Bamboo Careers, it's going crazy. And all she does is just go around asking people like, how much money do you make? And stuff like that. How much money do you make?
That's the idea.
Yeah, so that's my answer.
Yeah, thank you. It's the idea that will make a difference. And Joe, what do you think? For a medium, you've been working 20 years in FMCG big companies. Do you have any advice for the smaller companies?
I mean, yes, you can burn money and put your logo and branding and blast it out. These are money exposure whereby you can use to trick your investors that you're growing big, but you're not doing the sales to get the money. But for small SME, it's tough. It's tough to really grow a brand. Okay, but it's not impossible. If you look at Mr. Beast, I keep mentioning him, right? Because personally, I don't think he's handsome, right? It's not well built, but he has a charm. He has certain content into it. So that's I think in today's world, it's very different from our father's days, or even my days, right? Back in our days, we are living in an emerging market. We find comfort, we find confidence in brands that we wear, right? I remember when I was in the school, right? My friends are wearing branded shoes, right? I'm not wearing that. So you want to associate with the brand, but it's in a good way. I think the new generation are already foregoing the brand, and also there is a sense of national pride. I'm talking in your context. Now, of course, in the emerging city like Ho Chi Minh, I think in the first phase, people would like to embrace. You have your BMW, you have your Maserati, you have your Ferrari. But I think today, if you look at the stock market, VinFast is the third most highly valuated vehicle company in the world. So I believe that you can start small, but most important is to build that authenticity. Now, one thing I want to bring in is about money spending. I think most of the time, money are spent to try to influence. Now, for branding, there's one that we didn't talk about, which I think is important to let everyone know. Usually, when I do branding, I would tell the person or my client, fix your internal team first. Because if you have 20 people in your company, whether you are from supply chain, whether you are from product development, whether you are from marketing, or whether you're from customer service, if 20 of you, I ask you one question, in 5 words, describe our brand. If 20 of you give me 20 different answers, then I think you don't need to spend the money, because whatever money that you go out, it's not going to be clear, right? So there is a consciousness that has to be taken place internally. So if you are brand owners, remember, this is not a marketing role. This is not a CEO role, because from the head all the way to the bottom, everyone has to breathe, talk, behave of the same brand that the company promised. It's only then you achieve consistency. Have you ever seen Apple buying a lot of media space, putting billboard everywhere? No. Do you see Starbucks buying TV commercial? No. Why are they doing so well? You don't need advertising money. Sorry if the agency guys are here. But I'm just saying, if you do your housekeeping correct, you sometimes don't need a lot of marketing spend to make your brand grow. Just be consistent internally. Yeah.
Awesome, great. And Ngọc, I know you want to answer this question. Oh, okay.
So thank you for so many great sharings. And I think as a SME, we don't have a lot of budget. We don't have fund yet, or very limited fund. And everything come on ROI, right? And ROI reflected by the sales growth and the profit of the P&L. I think number one is that brand ambassador, which is strong, low cost, but high efficiency. Who's your brand ambassador? I totally agree with Joe that it has to come from the company, from the employee. They feel the brand. They are the ambassador of the brand, and they talk to people around, like the nuclear, right? You have one, and then you start spreading. Number two is the word of mouth. Again, I really emphasize the power of word of mouth. It's not that you paying people to talk about you. They talk about you because whatever you deliver, or you make them feel. So I think that is the most effective cost spending for the brand. And it's all come from the service, the feeling, the emotion connection that you create for your customer. And use the customer to grow your brand. Yeah, so I think that the cost, the budget management. Yeah.
Thank you, Ngọc. So we run out of time. Usually we have time for another question from audience, but we don't have. Do we have time for another question? Okay, the time is run out, but you can catch up with or each of these guys to ask more questions. I just want to conclude the some finding of the panels. We all agree that building brands start from inside out. Okay, So it starts from the core value of the companies connected to the core value of the brands, the brand authenticity, and we can leverage the whole company, the employees, the customer experience to turn everybody becomes brand ambassadors to build brand effectively, and we can measure it with the indicators that one of the speakers already shared. So just catch up with them if you find any other question to dig down on what they already share. Yeah? Thank you for joining this panel. I think the topic is interesting. So.
Thank you,
Thank you.
esteemed panelists, for your engaging discussion. Your insights have been truly enlightening. And please stay on stage to receive a thank you gift from MMA.